So John Super Monkey Ball is being added into Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, and I can finally now say that the game is good. So PlayStation recently had another one of their State of Play events, specifically a Japan-oriented one, meaning only games that were developed within Japan. And one of the announcements from that presentation was regarding Sonic Racing CrossWorlds. And they announced that 4 more characters are going to be added into the game from December 2025 to February 2026. Now, we already knew that Sega was going to continue updating the game with more characters throughout the year, but in terms of the free ones, they already went through all the characters that we already knew about. Hatsune Miku, Joker from Persona 5, and Ichiban from Yakuza. But now we got our next batch, and Aiai from Super Monkey Ball is one of them. Now, if you know anything about me, I'm a big sucker for Super Monkey Ball. It is easily my favorite Sega IP, and it is not even a contest. And Banana Rumble ended up being a pretty solid return to form for the franchise. I genuinely had a blast with that game. And after seeing this series be dragged through the mud from 2006 onwards, it's nice to finally have a proper new entry that I can go back and replay and be like, yeah, this is a really dang good time. So it just makes my heart happy knowing that Super Monkey Ball is a franchise that Sega actually sees proper value in again. Now, I don't really know how much Banana Rumble sold, so who knows when the next game is going to come out. But regardless, I can rest easy knowing that the series is finally back in a somewhat good place. And Aiai making his way back into the Sonic Racing universe, it just makes my heart happy. And the fact that he's using his Banana Rumble design, which I think is a huge upgrade from the Banana Blitz design, which I never thought was a bad design, but definitely a bit more on the cheap side. This just has so much more character to it and gives Aiai much more of an identity to call his own. I also love the banana vehicle that they add for him. I love the little dance that he does for his victory screen. It literally looks like they just ripped the model straight from Banana Rumble and put it in this game. And yeah, overall, I'm just so freaking happy and excited that my boy is finally coming home back to the Sonic Racing series, because Sega has been kind of neglectful with a lot of their core IP, especially in the later 2010s, when it seemed like they only ever cared about Sonic and Yakuza, and kinda Persona 2, but that's more of an Atlas thing than Sega, but whatever. Because I never picked up Team Sonic Racing. I loved Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing, and especially Racing Transformed, but a big part of that appeal to me was the crossover aspect between other Sega IP. So the fact that they shrunk it down to only Sonic in TSR, and just went for the absolute bare minimum, just really disappointed me. And while CrossWorlds definitely has a lot more effort put into it, to the point where having only the Sonic IP I feel would have been fine, considering that they're pulling from a much wider palette from the franchise, it makes me just really glad to see that they are actually pulling from other Sega IP again, even if it's not in the most ideal way. Because so far, none of the Sega crossover characters, I think aside from Hatsune Miku, have voice lines to call their own. You have to mod them in with the PC version if you got that one. And hopefully that could be rectified if fan demand is strong enough. After all, we know that this game is going to be supported for at least a year, so things can change at any time. And yeah, to further prove the point, Aiai is not the only character that's being added. I know he's my main focus, but that's because I have Super Monkey Ball autism, and that's my core focus. But the rest of the characters they're adding are pretty cool too. They're adding in Knights from Nights into Dreams, which has long since been forgotten as an IP. I'm surprised they even bothered. But that is really cool. I have Nights into Dreams on Steam before they ended up delisting it, and from the footage I've seen of it, it looks like a game that's right up my alley. It's a game I really need to get around to playing sooner than later. So they're adding Knights in before Aiai, and then after Aiai, we're also getting Tangle and Whisper from the Sonic comics. Now, I didn't think they were going to add more Sonic characters into the game. I thought the free updates were just going to be for the Sega crossover characters, especially since we've already gotten so many great pulls from Sonic. But hey, I'm not going to complain, especially if it's from a more obscure part of the franchise's history that they don't really tackle, especially considering, like, these aren't video game characters. These are comic book characters. Now, I've never read the Sonic comics because I actually go outside. But yeah, I do think it is really cool to see them pulling from such a much more lesser known part of the franchise for a change. It really feels like Sega is finally giving it their A game again with Sonic. And I know this because I'm someone that was jaded with Sonic as a franchise for a really, really long time. Like, I played Sonic Adventure 2 and Sonic Heroes as a kid, but I didn't really experience much beyond that, and looking back, I definitely think I made the right call given a lot of their actions. But ever since stuff like Sonic Frontiers and especially Shadow Generations, which is an amazing game, by the way, if you have not played it, you should absolutely do so. Even if you're not a Sonic fan, I think that game is just a brilliant platformer in so many ways. Between that and the third movie, I think I can finally comfortably say that I am a Sonic fan. And yes, that disease is fatal. I prefer Super Monkey Ball overall, and yes, I'm obviously was joking a little bit about how it's Super Monkey Ball is like the only thing that matters, but still, Sega's definitely been firing on all cylinders with Sonic as of recently, and that does make me happy. And while I haven't bought Sonic Racing CrossWorlds yet, because I just think $70 is way too steep for this type of game. Now, Kirby Air Riders, on the other hand, I'd pay $100 for that. But as soon as it's on sale, I'm very likely putting the money down, whether it be on PC or Switch 2. I don't know which version I'm going to get yet, just because, you know, Switch 2, I can play comfortably on the console, I can take it on the go, but the PC's modding possibilities will allow me to live out hearing monkey noises from Aiai's mouth in pure ecstasy. But yeah, I just want to talk about how happy I am to see Aiai back in the limelight in a really good Sonic game for a change. But even then, Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble will always be the better game because they put Crewmate Among Us in the ball. Can Sonic Racing CrossWorlds do that? Didn't think so. Check and mate, Sega. You lost to Sega yet again. God bless and have a good one. Bye-bye.